Welcome everybody to another episode of the ArenaLabs PvP podcast. Yeah. I'm your host Sneakers, joined by our fellow host Crayola and a guest host today. Welcoming back Illithex back on the podcast. And our guest to talk is
Yeah,
Zartak. Welcome
I'm
guys.
the I'm the best player in the game. Hello.
had to slot that in there, did you? Nothing like a
It's
bit
good.
of nothing like a bit of ego in PvP.
Have
Yeah.
to establish yourself early on.
Yeah, get that dominance in. Anyway, welcome Zartak.
Hello.
So, for those who don't know you and maybe never heard of you, new players, maybe
Is
some
that even
veterans.
possible?
Yeah, I know. You've got a reputation for playing with the best, so people to not hear about you. But what classes do you main? I know you main pretty much everything. What are you maining right now? What is the go-to for Zartak?
My main has always have been a engineer. So yeah, I've been playing like every kind of fucking engineer, like core NG, scrapper. I've been playing scrapper during HOT, and I'm still able to play any scrapper. I've been playing any role as well, holosmith, any role in the game, teamfight, 2v2, 3v3, roamer, duelist. I've been playing duelist. My first role ever in the game was duelist, obviously. And yeah, so I'm an engineer main, and now I'm starting to multiclass. So yeah, it's been some time since I'm starting to multiclass and learning all the other classes in the game. Because I've been playing with really good players in this game, and I've been learning first through them because they've been playing, like, for example, warrior. I've been dueling warrior so long versus the best warrior in the game, like Draze, Chiefs, and people like that. So then I started to play them myself, and I think I can actually consider myself as a multiclasser. Not maybe the best multiclasser in the game, but I'm okay as multiclass. So I can multiclass, and my main is NG.
Awesome. That's brilliant. I know, like, we've been picking your brains over the last few days on like theory crafting and builds, and you showed us some horrible scrapper build, which using mines, which is horrible, which I quite like. I love theory crafting.
Yeah,
You were schooling Crayola on the ways of NG,
this build was actually fun as well.
but
No one is playing this.
But the reason
Just a customer.
the reason we've got you on today is kind of pick your brains with the help of Illithex as well, two top players, to talk about decision making. That is the big topic, because what we see in ranks with people making horrendous decisions, to say the least, and we want to try and get through a bit of thought process, some wrong do's and don'ts for making decisions, and everything in between, and any sort of tips you can pass on. Really, picking the knowledge of the top players is the aim of the podcast.
Yeah, sure. Like, yeah, decision making is like, I think it's like, in my opinion, is the first thing people should actually. Okay, maybe not the first thing. Like, in my opinion, the first ever thing you should actually be looking for whenever you start playing PvP is like at least a little bit of mechanics, right? Like, you just look at what you're doing using your buttons. Like, it's okay whenever you start the game, if you don't know where to go because you have not much knowledge about the game, and you don't know if you want to go far, if you want to go mid, if you want to actually push a fight, if you want to wait, if someone is dead, if someone is not dead, like, first of all, you just look a little bit at your mechanics. You just play the game for fun and try to get used to the game and your binds and your spells, get used to the build you play. And then decision making is actually then whenever you start being at least a little bit good at the game, like, you feel like you want to become a little bit serious about PvP, then you want to learn about decision making, because if you don't know what to do, then you're gonna have a lot of troubles. For example, like, let's say you start a game and you don't know if you want to push a team fight at the open, and team fight was actually a really bad idea to go, because you didn't know that their comp was actually going to win, so you get wiped and you get triple cap at the open, and you lose the game, and you get frustrated because you're like, I don't know, like, I'm playing I was playing that build, and I wasn't doing bad. Like, I don't know why I'm losing all of these games, and I don't know why I lost, and it's weird. Like, I'm losing so many games because I don't know what to do, and I don't even know if it was winnable, because I'm not sure if I'm doing I'm taking the right decision, right? So yeah, decision making is a big topic. So I think I would like to start with what kind of builds, the meta, like, because whenever you play the games, there's going to be patch, there's going to be builds that are going to be strong. You have to be aware of about what people play, right?
Yeah, so we were talking about this decision making even before you queue up, like you just mentioned. What builds are you taking, and are you making the right decision of what build you're going to be bringing to the game? That's the whole topic of theory crafting. But I think personally, there's a lot of players who make a build with no real intention of what they want it to do. So it's like going, what do I want this build to accomplish? Do I want it to be able to roam? Do I want it to bunker? Do I want it to survive? Do I want it to be able to wipe people? Support them?
Exactly. This is the big difference, actually. It is unlike World we World, where a build has to be self-sufficient, and PvP you want to suit it towards the actual roles that you need to fulfill, and therefore you should be able to compare it to the build, to the opposing builds. So whenever you craft a build, you definitely have to check for what's currently meta, what everyone's running at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah, that's really important. Like for example, in this meta, people play Bunker Guardian, right? They play Core Bunker, they play Bunker Scourge, they play sometimes Candy Chief. There is a lot of Power Chief, right? So like, let's say people, they also play a lot of Necro, like Core Necro, Reaper. There is a lot of Bunker Guardian. So, for example, let's say you like your role in the game. You're not playing stuff like Chief or Revenant. You don't roam around the map. You play Duelist. So if you play Duelist, you know you're gonna face Bunker Guardians, like a lot of Duelists and a lot of Bunker Guardians. Okay, how do you win versus Bunker Guardians? Like whenever you want to have an impact and win and like at least have more probable chance to win your games, you need to win versus Bunker Guardian, and you don't want just to get a decap, and you don't want to get a neutral, right? You want to get a full cap. You want to actually make points and win the scores. So that's why, for example, like I've been theory crafting a build because whenever I wanted to play side holder, I would go with my decap full cap NG scrapper, right? Because I know that whenever I will face a Bunker Guardian, it will never be able to do damage to me, and I will get the node anytime. So that will be one good decision making to make.
Yeah, it's an interesting point. Then it comes into like pre-game, so even before your queue in would be the next sort of decision time, would it be? So when you see what you're up against, what you're changing, that comes again into theory crafting.
Yeah, whenever you play NG, you can just swap build, right? You can play Holo, you can play Scrapper, so you have your build saved right on your account, and you can just swap. Like whenever you know, like you want to face Bunker Guard as a duelist, and it's going to be the best way to carry, then you do that. Whenever you want to roam around the map as I don't know, just playing Holo and roaming around the map, whatever you build, the build you play, I guess you know, like power Holosmith and do damage and kill people. Like you can pretty much you know, like choose whenever you want to go. But like okay, there's another example. Like let's say you want to roam and not duel at this time, like because the scrapper was a duelist decision making example.
Yeah.
Like you want to roam around the map and you want to have more chance to kill Bunker Guardian, for example, or maybe DH or Candy Rev, right? Playing with the block with the staff and block with the shield. So you may like, you know, like, okay, you go in a game and there is no power chief. There is no chief that can actually be a big problem for you. So you can maybe play SD chief. So you play SD chief and you outnumber Candy Rev, and you outnumber them way better because you have so much unblockable. And because they play Herald, they rely a lot of boons, right? They have a lot of protection, they have a lot of vigor, they have a lot of regeneration. So you boon rip them with the tree sword, and you go unblockable. So whenever they block, they get a lot of damage. As well as whenever you steal on a Revenant, you have a big damage from the F2, right? So this could be a good decision making. So whenever you go in a game, I believe that you have to be aware of what you're going to play, what you're going to be doing. And it's not just being aware of if you're going to win or not. It's also being aware of like the chance that, like, okay, you know, if you play something that doesn't carry, because if you are aware that you go in a game and whatever you want to play because you want to have fun playing, for example, Candy Revenant, if you're not aware that in this game you're not going to have a big impact playing Candy Revenant, then you're going to be at the end of the game like a bit frustrated. You're going to be like, shit, I don't understand, like why do I lose so many games? Like, why did I lose this game? I really thought it was a game to win. Like, at least whenever you want to have fun, you have to be aware of the chances you have to win. Like if you know you won't necessarily throw the game, but you won't necessarily have the biggest impact, you also have to know that, because if you involve too much hope and you know, and motivation into a game that you really want to win, playing something that will obviously not carry that much, then you're going to be frustrated and you won't want to play the game, you know, game is supposed to be fun, and it's not supposed to frustrate you. So
Yeah, I get what you mean. It's like being an
yeah,
off meta hero. It's like if you're going in there with the intention of winning, make a good decision and run something meta or something which is fairly viable, which is a good decision to make and benefit your team. It stops other people flaming at you. The amount of staff tempests I've come up against recently, and you're just like, come on now. It's if you're gonna run tempest, it's universally known as as a support.
Yeah.
If you're going in as a tempest and you're throwing out meteor showers in ranked, you're probably going to get
So-
flamed.
Yeah. So let's think of it in a general way. If you join the game, what thought process do you go through step by step? If you, for example, open the scoreboard and you see both teams, like what are your first thoughts? What do you look out for?
that's okay. Like the first thing I look whenever I look at the board is what comp do we have, and what comp do we face, right? So the first thing I look is, okay, do they have a support? Okay, do they have Necros? What am I gonna find on sites, right? Okay, for example, I give you one example. Let's say you play on Legacy of Wayfire. This is a big middle on middle, and you know that whenever you go in ranked, like most of the time, people they don't want to kite, like, and most of the time people that are gonna play Bunker Guardian are not players that want to, like, they are not challengers, right? Some of them, like a few of them are like passionate by Guardian, and it's just a class they enjoy playing. So they may be good player, but they're gonna play this because they just love Guardian, right? And most of the others are not gonna be people that like having challenge and kite at the right moment and just have to leave and come back and have more impact with damage and stuff like that. So whenever you're gonna go on the mid of Legacy of Wayfire, and there's gonna be a bunker in your team fight, it's gonna take too long. Like whenever you kill all the others, at the end of the team fight, there's still gonna be the bunker, and he's gonna stay until he dies. And the time you're gonna stay 4v1 or 3v1 to kill him, and he's gonna die on node, and you're gonna have to cleave him after. It's gonna take ages because you have invulnerability. He has so many ways to actually negate the damage. You know, like, so you're gonna get double cap on side because whenever you do that, your opponents are just gonna cap the side, and you're gonna realize, hey, but it's 40-0, and we still didn't win middle. Like we won middle, but we are losing the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you need to look at the board and know, okay, do I push side or do I push middle? Okay, whenever you want to push middle is because you know the team fight is going to be fast. Like you look at your comp and you look at the enemy comp and you know that, okay, they play Power Revenant, they play one Holo, they play Chief, and they play a Reaper. Okay, so if we go middle and our comp, like maybe they don't have a support and we have a support, then in that situation you want to go middle because whenever you go mid and you do like 3 kills, because it's going to be a team fight. So if you win the team fight, you have high chances to do way more kills than just 1 kill, right? So whenever you do more kills, then you can just snowball, because if you kill 2 people, it's better than just going far and kill 1 people. But it's a team fight, so you have to make sure you're going to win the team fight, because if you don't have like at least 80% chances to win the team fight because you have a support and they don't have a bunker in their team fight, and you have a support and they don't have a support as well, and they are not bunky, they are like pretty squishy, so you can kill them pretty fast. If you have high chance to win a team fight, then it's better to go, because you're gonna do more kills, and then you're gonna have a better setup on the map and actually win the map way faster.
So in summary, basically, it's trying to analyze where you as an individual player can be the most effective. So, for example, if you're facing something super tanky, you're better off being somewhere else because you're not going to change that fact, but you could be so much more effective elsewhere. So
Exactly.
basically, like in summary, I would say decision making is about analyzing and realizing where you can have the most impact on the game through kills, through map pressure. Yeah.
I think that's a good statement, but I would also like to add, so you have a good distinction between meta and off meta. So why something meta is usually because it's working very good in regards to whatever's else is working really good, right? Off meta is off meta because it doesn't really work really good in regards to what's currently being played, let's say. So to anyone who doesn't know, maybe off meta builds like Staff Alley and stuff like this, unless you're really skilled at it, should be played off ranked.
I'd say
ranked because
I'd say off meta is more, it's viable but not very good. So say Dragon Hunter, Yeah.
Like, because you have 10 people in the game, right?
Yeah.
So you would always, as you said, you would look at matchups. So depending on, of course, whatever you play as well. But you want to be looking at the matchups regarding your team and their team, right? So yeah, a good point is healer. And if you got a healer and they don't, maybe it's good to push a team fight. If they have a healer and you don't, and you know, like composition-wise, you feel this ain't gonna go well, you may want to go far. Like, especially as an Engie, you may want to take something more tanky because you know you're going to be pushing 2v1 far.
I think communicating this with your team is also helpful, especially in ranked. Like me and Crail have been doing this today.
Completely true.
Yeah, because if you don't communicate with your team, you're just going, I'm gonna run mid, regardless of what we've got a support. I'm running mid, and then you see the support pushing far. You kind of you're in a bad spot, to say the least. It's kind of going, look, they've got no support, we've got a support. People will probably agree with you as well if you
really try out the ranked. If you actually really want to win your games in ranked games, it's really important to actually always try to talk with your team. Like whenever you start a game and you are pretty aware, like if you are one of the guys that are actually aware of what's going to happen at the open, like whenever you, like, you know, you look at your comp and you look at their comp and you're like, okay, I see ways of how it can go, right? Like I see how it can go, and maybe I should talk to them to make sure, like, to know where they are going to go, how it's going to happen, or maybe tell them that they should maybe go somewhere, right? Like I know it's not necessarily always working, because maybe if you don't have a game, if you don't have a name, right? Like if you're not famous and people don't trust you and stuff like that, maybe you can just like support whatever you want to say with some arguments. Like maybe you're like, okay guys, look, they have a support and we don't have a support. I believe, I'm gonna push far, so do what you want to do, but like I believe you shouldn't push middle, and you at least should be careful pushing middle, right? Because I'm gonna be far, and there's gonna be more than you. Like you're gonna be outnumbered on middle. So at least tell them, and I would say like at least one game out of two, some of them are gonna be listening. Like in some games, some won't be listening, but some are gonna be listening. So let's say one out of three people listen to you on middle. Okay, maybe two of them will die, but at least one survive. So it's still better than if three people died.
Yeah.
So
I think the most important. Sorry. Yeah, I think the most important thing to communicate, especially when you go far, is simply, can they stand on the node or should they just give up the node? That's pretty much the most important thing, because then they understand, okay, yeah, if node isn't live, we actually live, and then they kind of know what to do with that.
Yeah, well, there's some people that actually have troubles to, like, it's really hard to some people, like, to convince them to not play the node, right? Like some people, they really love nodes. They like whenever you will tell them to actually give up the node.
Fight on node. That's standard meme, isn't it?
They will want to listen to you, but then their heart is gonna be like,
I think that's hopefully what we can. If people listen to this podcast, they'll be like, oh, I don't have to. I can give up the node. Obviously, the best decision you can make is just staying alive. It's the
your best tool is your map. I think we can dovetail really nicely here into rotations, decision making regarding that.
Yeah, so we've done like pre-game, start of the game is obviously how you're opening. Let's talk about like sort of mid-game situations as well, and rotations. I don't know about anybody else, but what about when you're down? A good decision when you're losing? That'd be an interesting point of view. Obviously, it's scenario based, but yeah, obviously, what's kind of the decision? We're going, oh shit, we're getting absolute slapped here.
You want to get momentum if you're losing somehow. You want to get kills and momentum through the game, because you need a lot of points really fast if you're losing. Right?
Yeah, and that's where decision making is actually important, because if you want to get that momentum, if you want to get kills, you have to know it's okay. Like whenever you say decision making to someone, it's gonna be like, yeah, like that's pretty, like, okay, I know there is the word decision in it, but like, can you be more specific? Like I don't really get everything, right? If I can resume it, like in this game, it's weird to say, but you have to predict the future. You have to know what is going to happen. I mean, at least you have to try. You have to try to actually predict what is going to happen. So if you know that like most of the time it's really easy because in ranked game people are really easy to predict, right? Like there was an example, for example, like there was something that lately I've been streaming some Nadalo. Like maybe like 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks or 2 weeks ago, I've been streaming some Nadalo gameplay, and I I needed a few days to to get the momentum of the build and actually be aware of what I can push, what can I not push, where is dangerous to go, how to play the build like exactly in ranked with this meta. I needed a few days, so I played it 2 days, and then I understood some stuff. Like there was some games I was actually going far or middle, and I noticed that they were all like 3 games or 4 games in a row. I noticed that enemies, like whenever there will be a revenant and a chief, they will always push our node close node, right? So I was like, what? Like, is it 5v5 or is it ranked? Like they're always pushing close. Like, really? I was like, okay, I guess that they got their like that's what they do. Like they understood that maybe they were watching Mota, or maybe some of the people just got an interest on 5v5, and they understood that maybe pushing close is actually good to do. So they are starting to maybe talk with each other, or like pushing far and going close, and they like doing this kind of opens.
I think we're guilty of that, Creole, aren't we? It's just if we're queuing as Thief and NG, we're always going far, no matter what it is.
So like I was like, okay, so they like pushing close now. So whenever a game is gonna start and there's gonna be like maybe one revenant, one holo, one chief, and stuff that actually like pushing far, right?
Mhm.
I'm just gonna make sure, like, okay, I'm gonna communicate to my team and I'm gonna tell them, okay, guys, can you go close, please? And I'm just gonna follow you, but don't pay attention. Like, I'm just gonna make sure you don't get pushed, and you be careful. Like, whenever you push far or middle, just be careful. Like, try to play defensive because they won't be able to full cap. Like, whenever I do what I have to do on close, I'm gonna be back to middle before they full cap. So you can play defensive, let them a little bit of caps, of checking the node. It's okay. Just don't die, and make sure you don't die before I come, right? And if they push close, because there's high chance they're gonna push close, I'm gonna kill them, right? So whenever you see them on close, just play your fight fully, right? So once I was doing that, like I was actually saying it a bit, like it was a bit more simple. Whenever I forget what I was saying, but it was pretty much that. So I was just hiding behind the wall, and most of the time they were pushing close, and sometimes like I was just stealthing and going on them and land them a big, like there were 3 on my mate, and we were actually able to 2v3 them because they didn't know I was there, and they were like pack on my mate on close, and I was just landing like a big barrage 3 holo bursts on them. Like I was stealthing, doing 3 holo, and the second wave was hitting them at the same time as the barrage, and I was bumping them with the shield instantly and landing them a 3 sword on them. So like most of them were like 30% HP. One was like half HP. So they couldn't actually push and try to get a kill as easily as they were about to do it before I burst them, right? I spiked them. So just because of that, like there was a lot of situation where my mate actually didn't die, and sometimes we actually even won our fight. Like we actually even won our 2v3. Like we didn't kill them, but maybe we killed one of them, and the others actually gave up because they were like too low HP, not enough CD, and they just left. So we actually won close. We were outnumbered, so we won one middle, and sometimes it was even a triple cap. So just because I decided to go close and spike people that decided to push our close node, we just won the game like that. Like we can't even know if it was winnable for the enemy team, but maybe if I push mid and we will lose mid, and maybe like because they will kill the mate on my mate on close and come back middle fast enough before we win. Like you can't know what would have happened if I didn't go close at this moment. So it was actually cool. That was a good decision making to do. Like I even adapted myself. Like whenever I will face any kind of comp as Nadalo, to go close or mid or far.
Yeah, see,
But yeah, I think this is something important to do, whatever the class you play.
You mentioned basically almost predicting the future. I know I've found the best way of doing that is keeping track of the like action log or the kill feed and the minimap. So as a Thief roamer, I've found, say I decap far, we're having the team fight in mid, I run back, and whoever you kill, you kind of know where they're going to go first because you're going to start snowballing. You go, right, I know that person who we've just killed is probably going to push to their, like, our far point or their close. and just going who's going to push to mid. Like what would I do in that situation? That's
Especially on a map like Kylo, where you can literally see it, like where
Yeah.
he's pushing.
Yeah, true.
yeah. Some maps are really really good. I suppose like using you having some awareness simply is a big thing. Going because we've got to remember it is all about node control. That's how we win. Can't win a game just by getting 500 points by kills. So you can predict where people are going. If you've got 2 people down and you're all sat on far, you probably know that they're not going to run there. They should be rotating out.
That's actually part of the decision making as well, because it's a part of the decision making about macro game. Like for example, you just won middle and you kill 3 people, right? And you're on legacy, still on legacy, right? Then there's going to be respawn, and your mate are already pushing far and outnumbering a guy, and it's not necessary for you to actually go far with them. They're going to kill him, or he's going to go back to his base, and they're going to get far. Sometimes you don't even need to kill, right?
That's a really interesting point that you brought up, because where people don't hold a node. Say you win a team fight and one person, or you send your bunker towards far, you've already got close and mid, and a lot of people go, oh, I'm going to go join that fight on far and sacrifice, and get decapped on mid and close, and then the snowball starts to reverse instead of just.
There's like some few things you can do. For example, have you seen the big mountain on Legacy? There is a mountain like in front of every base, like I don't know how we call that. It looks like a mountain, like on a big rock.
Yeah.
Right? Like whenever you kill 3 people, you can just go on it and you see wherever they want to go from their base. You can actually see everything. Like you kill 3 people and you jump there, and then you can see them go out of base, because the base is like a little bit elevated, right? You can see in the air, and they choose where to go. So you can see, oh, they are going far, I can just follow. And you actually have the time to go from the mountain to the far before they reach it, right?
Yeah, I know.
It's a long way for them. So yeah, you can do that. Like you kill 3 people, you just go on the mountain and you watch them. Okay, where does he want to go? Like you don't even need to be like, logically he's going to go far. No, you don't even need to do that, because you're here and you actually see everything. You're above their base and see where they are going. So yeah, that's actually a good thing to do. There is some moment in games where you actually should do that. So, so you have something to say?
I just like you mentioned the legacy example, right? Where people push far after a fight one on mid. If you have your close capped and you got a kill, you're 100% they're gonna push your close. And what I see a lot of people doing, especially in that scenario, is just push far. Like decision making in that regard, I don't know. It's so important to know the map. Let's say because you can't, if you're in the middle of the fight, people don't even read chat, let alone write.
Yeah,
that's a minority of players that do that actually. So if people learn how to read the map more properly, maybe that would make more sense. Logic would be the right word.
Just to recap on what happened in episode 2 when we spoke to Illithex, was he mentioned the ping system. Like, we have a fantastic ping system, and making use of that can help other people's decisions, like guiding people, pinging on the map for secondary objectives, going don't run there. That's
important. I use it often, to be honest. Like it's actually psychologic. Is that a good English? Yeah, I guess it is.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you just ping the map so hard that you see them going back. Like they kind of see the big red thing ticking on the minimap, and sometimes they listen. Sometimes I just ping the map often, and they are aware, and they really want to win the game. So it's like, okay, if he's pinging the map, maybe there has to be a reason, right? Someone is maybe going to be capped, so I just go back.
Say that again, Illithex?
All you can do is try to convince them.
Yeah, you can try, exactly. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, at least because it's like, say, what myself and Crayola we often do is write on the mini map how many people are there. If you do that and then like draw from your close, like your spawn to wherever you want them to go, most people kind of seeing something move on the mini map kind of makes people look. If it's just a ping, they'll just hear the noise and kind of ignore it. But if there's something like someone drawing, for me, it tends to draw my attention a little bit more.
You know what I'd say? It's really good. Sorry. You want to say something?
No. Go ahead.
Like if you're in a solo queue, I think a good tip would be to actually try to find the good players from the bad players. Try to pick them out, right? Because what we do is sneeze a lot of times is we get the same players a couple of games in a row, right? Just like always. So you pick out the really, let's say, powerful Rev that's kicking everybody's ass, and you pick him apart, kill him, and the other guys won't be able to do any damage to your potatoes, right?
Yeah.
Or like if you know that there's gonna be a really good bunker on your close that's gonna be just killing everyone, you gotta know, like, you gotta push far and you gotta keep it decapped if not capped, because he's just gonna win everything, and your team is probably just gonna keep running into him.
Yeah, like we made
on the competitive level.
We made use of that today because there was that guard. We had him on our team. I think it was 2 games prior, and then on the next game he was on the other team. And we basically just went, right, we're gonna target him every single time. Like as soon as he comes out of that off his node or any chance we can get, we're just gonna focus him. And it works. It's just having that little bit of knowledge of, say, the community and players who are in your sort of games regularly.
Something that I believe people should be always aware, like, because like one of the main thing in this game, like, is like whenever you don't know something, like you can't know it until you can't know it until you know, right? Like it's like, okay,
you don't
I feel
know
like
what you don't know.
yeah, I feel like I know what is going on, but like until you actually know that you actually never knew what was going on, right? Like you can know, so you can't know. So let's say, okay, one good example is when you feel like a game was winnable, was not winnable, but how can you possibly know if it was winnable if you feel like it was unwinnable, like you may be missing some part, but just the fact that you miss some part is because you don't know what was actually something to take in consideration to know if it was winnable or not. Am I being clear? Or
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, like, so
knowledge is power in that
so
sense.
yeah, so instead of just blaming it completely on
Exactly,
your teammates, like, yes, I know we're all guilty of this, and we call it scrub mentality. We're going to do an episode on it at some point, but it's basically for something that's out of your control, blaming it instead of just looking at yourself and oh my god, I lost because X reason. And
yeah, there is a lot of tips actually. There's so many ways to avoid that. There's so many ways to actually, for example, that people in ranked games, most of the time, whenever you're going to win teamfight, because we were talking about it, it's actually a good topic. Like, we were talking about the fact that whenever you win close and middle, then they all push far and they get decap on mid or and close, right? They get decap because they wanted to push far and you had to stay. And whenever, so you have to stay, and maybe you get out-rotated by a chief because you are a roller smith, and the chief is going to be so fast that you cannot prevent the decap on close. And if you leave middle and to join close and try to get to prevent the full cap, and you come too late, then you cannot catch back because he's going to decap mid as well. So you have to stay mid, and so he's going to full cap close, because if you leave mid, then he's going to decap as well. So then what can you do? For example, okay, let's say you have a friend. Let's say your friend is not the best player in the game. He's like medium, right? He's not good, he's not bad, he's okay.
Let's say sneakers then.
You can
That's
just
me.
like, I give you a little example, right?
Yeah.
You have your mate and you tell, okay, just because he's your mate and you're playing with him, you can communicate with it. Maybe you cannot communicate efficiently with the other player in your game, but maybe you can communicate with it. So okay, you know that your mates are gonna, all your mates, your teammates, sorry, are gonna push far after they won middle, because they don't know that they should be maybe staying. It's not organized. It's it's a mess. So they want to push far, and you tell your friend, okay, can you stay middle? I'm gonna do something, right? Like, trust me, stay middle and hold. Try to look for mid or cross, right? Whenever the chief is gonna respond, then you hide behind the wall, and maybe if you have stairs or maybe you have somewhere on the map you can actually hide, right? And you know that all your mates are gonna push far, so you use them as a bait. So they're going to be on far, and people are going to come far, right? And then you just, you make enemy team believe that you're not here, and then you appear just like that, and boom, you do some really spike damage, like big spike damage on them. And okay, so because you're duo queuing with a friend, so it doesn't necessarily work whenever you're solo queuing. But if you're at least duo queuing, whoever the person is, at least you won't necessarily get double decap on mid and close, and you're still gonna have a momentum on the game. Some form of snowball, because you may find a way to get a kill on far. And let's say all the team is going on far and you cannot kill anyone. At least you still have mid and close. So I think there is some ways to your mate are going to push far, so you adapt. You ask your mate to watch for close and mid, and you try to carry far.
I think
Get a kill, come back middle, and stuff like that.
Something Illithex said when we during the monthly when he was kind of coaching while we were all shouting at each other on comms was he goes, I quite like playing this new version of chess, and that's how you need to think about ranks, especially rotations. If he moves here, where am I going to move?
Yeah.
Who should this person? It's one big
right.
it's where am I? As we've said multiple times, where can I be the most effective? If people need to know their counters, and that allows you to make those good decisions. It's a ranger. It's a pretty reasonable counter towards guard. It's like, yeah, I'm not going to push that. I'm going to avoid it. We had it personally in one of the ATs when we came up against Andreas's team, and Andreas was running his invincible guard build. And we just went, right, we're just going to come, wherever he is, we're going to be on the other side of the map. We're not even going to engage him. We're just going to let him do it and we're going to win everywhere else. And it completely just stopped. Like, we got a win and it was probably one of the best games we've ever played as a team for our team, Cruella. But that decision that we made, just ignore him. Run round him, ignore that, because he's going to be impossible to kill.
That's actually a good point, because like, let's say they are playing bunker, right? They are gonna playing like Andreas is playing bunker guard unkillable, as you say.
Yeah.
So you have they have a chief in their camp, and you have a chief as well. But you actually have a build. You just made a build that knows that actually counters the other chief build. Like, your build is stronger than the other chief build. Like, whenever you will duel him, you will win most of the time because you have a better build, right? You're not necessarily less good than he is or better, but your build is better. So let's say if you don't push Andreas, and just because he's on a node and you don't push him, you also know that he doesn't have big mobility, right? So what does he do? Does he AFK? So because if he AFK, you are going to be 5v4 on the map, so it's going to be easier for you to win the 2 of the nodes. And if he follows and he said, okay, I have to leave because I have to help mid or close, right? So far is unprotected. So if the chief goes, can you follow? Like, he's asking his chief to follow. But whenever their chief is going to try to follow your chief, he's going to lose the duel, right?
Yeah, because you have the stronger build, you will come out on top. So then you actually, it's so important to realize that, because then you can actually play to your strengths. And the same thing applies to if you are countered by something. Then all you should do, for example, let's say you play something stupid like Core Power Mesmer, and they have a thief. Of course, the thief is gonna farm you. So what you have to consider in your decision making is, where is the thief? Where is he going? Can he spike me? If I see the thief is on the other side of the map, I'm free to, I don't know, let's say blink and go for a full shatter combo. If I know the thief just stealthed next to me, I'm not gonna blink and use my defensive cooldowns offensively when I'm about to be spiked and be a target. So yeah, just realizing, do I have the upper hand or am I pressured? Am I in a disadvantage? This is really such a huge point in decision making.
Yeah,
actually realizing what is threatening, what do I threat, who has to watch out for me. It's so important to realize these things.
That's pretty well explained, actually. It's like, that's the part of the, I don't know if it's, yeah, that's actually, I don't know if it's macro game or micro game, but yeah, that's actually true. Like, for example, you go middle and you know that you, that's actually a really good, important decision making to do. Like, okay, you are going middle and you know the fight you're in is like really low chance to be won, right? So you know the fight on middle is like, it's gonna be lost. Like, like your mate are really low. There are 3, you are 2, and like, like, it's a bad situation. So why will you use all your CD, all your cooldown in this fight? Because you know it's gonna be lost anyway. So okay, so you are in the fight and you stay in the fight. Why will you be in the fight if it's gonna be lost? Maybe because you want to gain sometimes. No, like the node is neutral, and you know that the fact that you are here is gonna ask the opponents more time to finish the fight. So you stay, you just make act of presence, so they are afraid, and maybe the fight is going a little bit longer. But you know, at some point you're gonna go back to close. Like you're just waiting for the right moment to leave. So as Illithex just said, like, is it right to stay? What is threatening? Is this fight going to be won? Should I use this CD now? Should I wait a little bit to use it after? Is it going to be important for me to use it like right after the fight? Am I going to leave? Am I going to have to blink to go back faster to close? So do I blink in this fight and just knowing this fight is going to be lost? That's exactly true. Yeah? Like, you know, you're going to be having to go back close after that. So you wait for the right time. You save your CD. You don't use much CD, and then you go back close. And whenever you hit close, you have a lot of CD just because you kept your CD from this previous fight. So you gain some time in this fight. Just the time they're gonna be full capping, you can maybe balance the match. Whenever you get someone killed on your team, you can actually kill someone else on close, and that's gonna be okay because your mate is gonna be back before the person you just killed is gonna be back. So you actually win the game even though you just lost the previous situation. So yeah, there is actually a lot of little details of decision making to make. Like, it's necessarily not is something easy to do. Like you have to be aware of a lot of things. But let's say, like, in my opinion, we should maybe start for some, like, all the most simple stuff, right? Like whenever I think the most important thing in my opinion is really not believe that you have to be a god at mechanics at first. I give you another example about that. Like, some people believe that you need to be good at mechanics. You need to be so fucking good at the game. Like, you need to win this duel. You need to push this guy and show him how good you are at mechanics, and you're going to win this duel, and it's going to be low, and he's going to have to disengage, or you can actually chase him and kill him, right? But the thing is, maybe if you go mid, the fight is going to be harder, right? And if you go far, the fight is going to be easier for the same results. So if you didn't know that it was better for you to go far because it was going to take way less time, or like, you think that you have to be good at mechanics, but
I couldn't
just
agree
like that
more.
going far is going to be easier, right?
It comes down to like, mechanics can take you so far, but I'm by no means the best player. I can handle myself, but I know when we talk about the monthly and what we played some really, really good teams, and with the help of Illithex just helping us with our decision making. Like, mechanically, yes, we've got like Creole, we have Mike, we've got a.k.a, we've got some strong players on our team. We had Dawn as well, but the decision making that we had made against these stronger teams allowed us to get a win on some of them, which is, it just proves if you make the right decisions in the right matchups, if they're the better player but you've made the better decision, chances are you're going to win, as long as there's not a huge skill gap involved.
You put it really
just...
well. You put it really well. Like, you want to always go for the decision that benefits you the most, right?
Yeah, true.
Yeah, if I know they're better mechanically, why would I push a 1v1? Instead, I'm going to go, instead I'll go help with this, I'll go +1 this fight and get the win. And then we can outnumber the other fight. Instead of I'm going to push the 1v1 against Illithex and get slapped. I'll go beat I'll go +1 someone else, and then me and Creole will go and slap Illithex. Well, we say that, but we'll probably still lose 2v1.
Yeah, why
You're
would
over-exaggerating now.
Like, why would I go to close and push Illithex in duel, like, as Chief versus Chief, when I can just leave him full cap close? Like, okay, you know what, Illithex, cap my close. I don't give a shit. Cap my close. But I'm gonna go far. I'm gonna kill your mate because I'm gonna 2v1 him. So I'm gonna kill your mate, and then after you cap close, you're gonna want to actually push middle. So I'm gonna stealth. I'm gonna watch you use your CD and get maybe get a little bit of damage on you, and then I'm gonna jump you after you push this fight because you're pressured. You have less CD. I have way more.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I'm gonna
You
kill
have
you.
the upper hand. You can decide whether or not you take that fight.
And then I'm gonna decap.
There's a quote I like, basically, from previous competitive games and podcasts I've listened to. It's playing your game rather than reacting. If you take the actions and go in, it's part of reactive, but it's okay, I'm going to play my game and bait them into what I want to do. Instead of like, they're standing on that node, I'm charging, I've got to counter that, I've got to charge head first. Instead of going, okay, you're there, I don't want, you're wanting me to come and fight you. I'm going to go on elsewhere and win my fight. If that makes sense.
It's all about situations, like,
yeah.
Like,
there's still a big difference between team play and
so ranked decision making is completely different to a coordinated team and ATs. So we've been trying to carry today. Like I had a massive loss streak and complained about it quite a lot in Discord, and it's a bit annoying. Say I'll start even when you're trying to communicate. Sometimes it's having that decision of going, I'm going to do this, because this is what I do with my team and it wins us fights. And then in ranked, it's complete and utter shit show with people doing it elsewhere.
Ranked decision making is completely focused around yourself. It's so self-centered, and 5v5 decision making is centered around what are you going to numbers, a lot of numbers. What are you replying with what? It's about who wins this matchup. But really, ranked is all about yourself. Because you're the only one you can rely on there.
Yeah, so making, as you've said before,
that's an really important point.
Yeah, making them where you can have the biggest impact on, not going, oh, in my team environment, I can push mid and help burst and focus this target. Instead, ooh, I should be doing this, because they're not going to focus the target even if I ping it and go in for a full scale burst. Instead, I should go decap far, and there's lots of opportunities there.
I mean, you'd imagine what a support player might say. A support player that's solo queuing, right?
Oh, that's very painful for them. Yes, I know.
Yeah, support players, we feel your pain.
It actually depends, to be honest. Like, I've been playing some Tempest, I remember, and Tempest had the ability to actually go mid and team fight, go close and hold a little bit. Like, you can actually hold as Tempest whenever you play Earth Tempest. You don't play Fire, you play Earth.
Mm-hmm.
And you can actually decap because you have a lot of mobility with the Earth Shield.
Because you don't get critical hitted when you're on Earth, right?
Yeah, you can actually push some duel, you can actually hold, you can actually team fight, and you can actually go decap because you have some mobility with the blink, you have some dash. Like, actually, it depends on the support.
Yeah,
if you play Firebrand support, then I totally agree. Like, you will not like what will happen if your team doesn't go your way.
Yeah, as we said at the start, though, communicating with your team and saying, okay, I'm support, let people know what you're playing. That's a big decision, because people can react. I know, say that we're talking about a lot of core guards and things going around, but burn guards still exist. I've seen some whack builds. If you let people know what you're playing, it can help, because people can react to it in, say, for example, the Soul Beast. I don't know if they're a sniper Soul Beast or the Mender Soul Beast. So I'm like, oh, he's massively outnumbered. He can hold that. And then it turns out he gets absolutely melted. Might have just made a cock up, but communicating with your team in ranked, as we've said, is...
Well, even if you see that, you're probably not going to get there in time if he's going to die anyway.
Yeah, but it's knowing...
But just knowing ahead of time
going
what
how
is
long,
going to happen.
Yeah, how long will he be able to hold for a little bit, or is he going to get insta-bursted because he's running Zerker Amulet, or...
It's also adjustment, right? Like, if your guy gets bursted down, it's one thing. If he loses, like, a pleb and comes back and loses, if he's making bad decisions, you kind of have to adjust to that, right?
Yeah, so if he's constantly feeding, running into outnumbered fights, that's a hard decision to...
Like, if my guy's losing a 1v1 somewhere, I'll always go there and, like, try to kill the other guy and tell my guy to go elsewhere. Just take the 1v1 instead, right? Because he's not going to leave. He's just going to keep coming back and try to prove himself, but die.
Yeah, knowing that, you can actually change everything, because I remember a game that I had, right? I was playing rank, and I know that my mate on close was about to lose his duel, right? But he was playing guard, so I know he was about to lose all his duel, because the guy who was actually going to push him was going to win every duels. But just because he was playing guard, I knew that I had a little bit of time before I have to go help him. And like, whenever he was losing his duel and playing guard, just because he actually pressured the other guy, I was going right before he dies. Like, he was like 20% HP whenever I was arriving, and we killed him 2v1. Because even if he's losing his duel, if you turn it into a 2v1 and kill him, then he didn't lose anything.
And a lot of times the other guy's going to be greedy enough to try and get the kill, right, and die.
Yeah. So like, that the guy is going to be the same way you just said it, Crowler. Like, he wants to prove himself, and he wants to push duel all the game. Then you just make it become a good situation for you and your team. You wait for him to do his duel for some time, and then you turn the situation into a 2v1. and kill the other guy. So yeah, so
I-
it could have been it could have been a disaster because he would have died, and you would never have been winning this node all game. But just because you push for a little bit of time 2v1 and kill this guy every time you outnumber him, then you can win the game. Yeah.
yeah, so
There is a lot of stuff to know. Like, I think there is something we don't talk about it enough. Like, it's about understanding. For example, whenever you're gonna play in a game, the other players don't know you. They don't know who you are. So you can't ask them to trust you. Like the same way you don't trust them, they will maybe not trust you just because you don't know each other and you don't have any momentum together. Like you don't have any synergy. So whenever you ask them, okay, don't push mid because I'm gonna win far. How are they supposed to know that you're gonna win far? So there's gonna be maybe, like oh, is he really gonna win far? So it means if we leave the full cap mid right now and he doesn't win far, we get double cap. So maybe I want to push middle anyway and try to carry mid, right? So yeah, you have to be aware that sometimes people won't necessarily listen to you. So there is a matter of time, right? You have to calculate the time. Like you know that whatever you're going to be doing, people are not necessarily going to trust you. So you have to do it in this amount of time and go back to mid before they die.
yeah,
If you know what I mean.
It's a level of experience that you get over time from playing, but going in with the mindset of this counters this. I always struggle with this build. Oh, they've got that, and making your decisions around that, like that's essentially it. Decision making is such a personal thing, and it's such a broad topic. It's near impossible to have an exact answer to.
I would give a tip again, maybe for anybody that like I had the longest time I had the trouble of understanding other classes because I didn't play them, right, and I had no idea what the fuck the AoEs are from whatever was hitting me, or and just trying out different classes for a little bit kind of gives you this perspective. If you just read them, you see, okay, so maybe I should avoid the true shot. It's a truly devastating shot if that shit hits me, or anything like that. But it's really good to actually try out the builds, see what the actual range is, what the combos are, just to know, because that's when you can make good decisions, right?
I can't agree more. Like I am a pretty much a one-trick pony currently with my thief. It's true, but I've started playing. I've dabbled a little bit in Reaper and Necromancer. I know how to play them a little bit, but say Mender Soul Beast, I played that for a few ATs. I played it for a couple of games. I can comfortably hold, but I don't enjoy playing. It's not what I'd value, but I was using it so I could learn the animations and key skills in order for me to interrupt them and what I need to look for as a thief. So if you're struggling with a build and you're going, I'm getting absolutely destroyed by Mirage, go, okay, I'm going to play Mirage, maybe ask someone who plays it what to look out for. Then you can make your decisions around it and come up with a few things.
Yeah, whenever you play Chief and you go in ranked games, guys, just like do something for me. Like just take smoke screen, right?
I've been running that recently.
There is a sniper soul beast. You need to take this, and then you're gonna, you're suddenly gonna be happy, and you won't even know why. Like,
yeah, I've been running this recently, Zartak. Like when we talked about it, like I used to run it before in the days of like say Shadow Portal. I would run that instead of Shadow Portal occasionally, but since Blinding Powder, I've been kind of only Blinding Powder. I've switched up, and it's come in real handy. Say if they've got two Necros, there's going to be some liches coming in. You throw that down, boom, nothing. Condi Thieves, boom, nothing. Rangers, nothing. It is such a good counter to if you know that's what they're using. I suppose that comes to decision making, which said at the start.
But then you have to know what is threatening.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, but
you have to know what is a danger for you.
Which we've covered, but that's the build bit of theory crafting and things like that. Well, I think we've covered quite a lot, guys.
I want to give an example, actually. Like, this is my personal experience. Like, I've played Angie most always, and then one day, like, Reapers were slaying me. There was always two Reapers in enemy team just beating the shit out of me, and I didn't know what was hitting me, especially the Focus 5 Spinal Shivers, right? It has so much damage. I didn't even know it existed, basically. That's how oblivious I was to the casting. And then I just made the Reaper, and in one day, I got really good at it. And ever since then, I can take Reaper on engine, no problem. I know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah, that's really important to do. You have to know whatever you're going to be facing. Like whenever you get hit by something and you don't know how to face something because you didn't get the knowledge about this class.
Yeah, let's say situation-wise, a lot of times people on Necro don't know really well how to use the spectral walk. Let's say they're gonna port back, right? So you can just wait there.
Oh,
Or stuff
we
like
bait it so often. So like an
In
opportunity is
In ATs, Syndrome is the only one that's killed my worms so far. No other thief does this.
yeah an
And that's such
opportunity.
a good thing to do. This is why I don't run worm, or I put it in really stupid places if I can, if we face them, because that's the only time it's gonna get destroyed. But it's one of the biggest plays you can make against Reaper with worm.
Yeah, because you can shut down. But one thing when you were talking about the spectral walk, how often have you just been sat in hollow? I've been chasing the necro while he's been in spectral walk, and you just sat there going, and he ports back. Oh, grenade barrage, dead, and just sat there. Oh, it's so much fun. But knowing things like that can allow you to make fun decisions. But I think we've covered a lot. We've been talking for nearly an hour, guys.
That's also a rank fact as well. Like little tips for decision making in ranked. Like whenever any necro is going to use spectral walk, you know that your mate is going to chase the necro, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like they're always going to try to chase him if he's low and using spectral walk. So you can just you just leave your mate chase the necro and wait, because they're always going to try to chase and kill. They love targeting low people, and like they always going to go in, like even if there are three, like none of them is going to wait for the port back, right? So you can just do it and carry like that, because the necro is going to come back and you're going to kill him.
Or thief, shadow step.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of doing that. So if you see a thief who's already shadow step to get away, you follow him by using your shadow step, and then they're going to port back, and you just can port back exactly where they run.
I always wait with Angie if I know he's going to return.
Yeah, it's so much fun.
That actually not a rank fact, because in ranked people don't really like to chase a chief. So most of the time they won't chase him, and he's not gonna have to port back. There's actually some situation when they actually port back, but yeah, whenever a chief uses shadow step, don't even wait for him to come back, because most of them he's not gonna come back.
But that's a good thief. That's a good thief. Most of the thieves, a lot of the thieves aren't that good. They really fall for this. It depends on where you're on in rank, but I'm telling you, like.
Yeah, they'll use it. They'll use it as an escape or an I engage, and then they'll run back in, and you're just like, silly.
Yeah, most of the time the best thing to do versus a chief that actually use the shadow step is not follow him. Be aware that the shadow step is like 50 seconds or 40 seconds if he's shadow wars, right? And push a node and know that in 40 seconds you're gonna have to actually make a plays on mid, and then wait for him to be back without his shadow step and kill him, because he doesn't have it, right?
Yeah.
He's gonna push far, you're gonna push mid, you're gonna do your kill on middle, he's gonna do his kill on far, he's gonna come back and you're gonna be able to kill him, just because he doesn't have shadow step at that moment.
Yeah.
So most of the time it's most the fact that, okay, you sell shadow step, he escaped now, but the next action is not gonna be able to escape.
Yeah. Well,
or maybe not.
Well, we've been talking for over an hour now, guys. It's pretty good. We've covered a hell of a lot, so I think we can try and wrap this up.
You want to keep it short or what?
Oh, we can try and wrap it up there. But what if we're gonna summarize everything that we've said for decision making and kind of put it into almost a sentence? What would we say? What would you guys think?
I think decision making is a topic that should span like a plethora of subjects.
Yes,
many more.
Obviously, but there's something to keep in mind. What Illithex and Zartak have covered. Where am I most effective? You should be constantly saying that to yourself throughout games, and you'll notice some improvement.
Yeah, like you have to actually practice this. Think about it at any moment. Like whenever you want to improve in PvP, you need to think about it every second of every of your games. Like whenever you lose a team fight, whenever you lose a fight, whenever you lose an open, whenever something happens, you have to be aware of, like, if you can even record yourself and just watch what happened in this game and why was it a bad idea to push, and analyze like, it's really okay. Like, in a lot of situations of decision making are not that easy to figure out. Like, for example, you push far most of your games and you see that they lose a team fight, and or maybe you push far on a bunker guard and you realize that maybe it was taking too long to kill him. It's really easy to notice that you push far like 3 games in a row and you took too long to kill this guard, and you didn't even kill him, and they lost the team fight just because you were 2v1 on far and you didn't accomplish anything on pushing the bunker guard on far. So like it's that most of the important stuff are really easy to figure out, or as Crowler just said, being aware, like being aware of what you're facing, or what Illithex said about what is threatening to me. What is going to kill me, what is going to be dangerous. Maybe what should I actually kill before I push another fight. Like it's really hard to actually talk, like make a topic to decision making. There's so many things. Like if I would talk about every little thing I have in mind about decision making, it would take 10 hours, maybe 11, maybe I don't know, like maybe 48 hours, right?
There's 48 episodes right there.
Exactly. So I don't think we should be talking about all that stuff. Maybe future topics, right? Like
Yeah,
specific
absolutely.
ones.
Well,
But yeah, like
A good idea is situational commentary, right? So we could actually commentate an actual situation.
Yeah, VOD reviews. And those are actually being supplied by some services like Welcome to PvP Discord. But Zartak mentioned it, and it's really what I want to give people on their way as a kind of finishing sentence. Record your gameplay and rewatch it if you're really serious about improving. Think of it like every death can be avoided. Try to figure out how it can actually be avoided. Just rewatching your gameplay just gives you all the time to think about things and just learn and improve. Anyone who's really serious about improving, it's like my best general tip to improve.
yeah, that's the best thing to do. There's no better than doing that. Like recording, try to communicate with your team, rewatch your gameplay, not having big ego and believe that any game will be winnable if you wouldn't have a bad team, right? Like most of the time you do mistake, but you don't even realize it, right? So yeah, rewatch yourself and try to have some kind of external view about it, like, and not intern view, like you're the best and people are not good enough to be in your team, right? So even if sometimes it's true, there's always game that can be winnable if you actually even played better.
Yeah.
So yeah,
but no,
that's pretty much. Yeah, I think that's pretty much a good resume about decision making, right?
yeah.
Definitely. And just this very practical advice that anyone who really wants to try something can apply.
Yeah.
But no, thank you very much anyway for joining us, Zartak, and sharing your vast array of knowledge. We'll have to try and get you on to talk about something else or one of the other 48 hours of decisions that we could probably do.
Yeah, it's not necessarily easy to make a topic about decision making. Like there's so many things to do. Like I didn't even talk about the competitive one, right? Like it was mostly about ranked there. Like
Yeah, I think that's going to affect most of the listeners anyway, because
yeah, I feel like for the future we can iterate on the very details and we can kind of structure it well, or even better.
Yeah, thank
to
you.
specifically go into team comms, specifically go into matchups and whatnot.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think I can. Like this was a good introduction, but we can do resume, right? We can do review some games and talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely. For those who aren't aware, we've got something called the in-house leagues. This is almost like it's basically a little gym / dual arena / open scrims. Like we're going to try and organize them every Sunday. Krill is going to be putting out a bit more information on it, but it is a really, really good place to learn. Like there are going to be some really, really good players there, and you might be a mid-level player, but you'll learn a lot quicker because you'll be in comms with these top players and essentially getting commentated by top players. We'll be releasing a couple of games that we've recorded with Illithex and Feifei, commentating on exactly what's happening, the mistakes that are happening, calling out mechanics, and watching those. You could rewatch exactly what you did back with players like that commentating, and it's just a good way of learning. So keep an eye out for that.
Cool, to be honest. Like I think it's really cool because like whenever you play with a competitive team, you kind of start getting used to communication. Like yeah, guys, you don't need to go with 3 people there. Like one should stay. Like there is so many comment that you get in competitive games that you don't get, like you don't have in ranked games. So whenever you will join these in-houses, sorry, that's actually cool. Like just getting used that someone maybe talk to you during the game, and that's actually something that a lot of people actually want but cannot get because they don't have a proper team, right?
Yeah.
A roster.
Yeah, shout out to Illithex helping me out with Dragon Hunter before and absolutely pummeling me. but no, I know some tips and tricks, little things like that. But yeah, we've got that. We've got obviously the Welcome to PvP Discord is an excellent place to start. We've got our YouTube channel, and yeah,
The content is regular, yeah,
absolutely.
definitely. So join up if you're listening.
So once again, thank you very much, Zartak and Illithex for coming for coming on, guys.
Thank you very much, Douglas.
We're missing Tear Off, but he's with a family today, so shout out to Tear Off. He'll be back next week, guys.
Oh yeah, true. Yeah.
Yeah, peace out.
Peace out.